guys, there's something that Sheriff Shannon Dyke has brought to my attention on Twitter X. I call it Twitter X. I just can't call it X. I don't know why. Old school or something. I'm sitting in the sunlight for light. But I live in California. As you know, I work in California. And Governor Newsom he's probably the worst governor we've ever had. I mean, he puts Gray Davis to shame. This was brought to my attention. And I thought I'd give it to you. But on December 18th of 2024, Proposition 36, the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act, took effect. The initiative aimed to address homelessness, addiction, and theft through a new approach to prosecution and sentencing. Now, Prop 36 fundamentally reshapes California's legal landscape regarding drug and theft crimes. A key change involves the introduction of wobbler offenses, crimes that can be charged as either felonies or misdemeanors, depending on various factors. Two new wobbler offenses are now defined: possession of a hard drug, including fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, phencyclidine, is that how you say it? And their analogs, with two prior drug related convictions under Health and Safety Code Section 11395. And petty theft or shoplifting with two prior theft related convictions under Penal Code Section 666.1. Now, sentencing for these wobblers varies. A first offense usually results in county jail time, while subsequent offenses may lead to state prison sentences. Importantly, there are no age limits or time restrictions on prior convictions that could qualify an individual for these enhanced charges. An arrest on either the drug or theft felony charge necessitates DNA collection as well as a review by a judge assessing the defendant's risk to public safety to any pretrial release from jail. For the treatment mandated felony found in the Health and Safety Code Section 1395, the offender can opt for drug treatment to avoid jail or prison time, and if they complete treatment, they do not suffer a conviction for the offense. These changes represent a significant shift in California's approach to prosecuting specific crimes. Now, beyond the new wobbler offenses, Prop 36 significantly increases penalties for fentanyl trafficking, especially large scale operations, and imposes stricter sentences for drug dealing involving firearms. This reflects a determined effort to combat the opioid crises and highlights the serious dangers associated with drug trafficking. The new law also mandates that courts explicitly warn convicted hard drug dealers of potential murder charges if someone dies due to their drug trafficking activities. A Watson-style advisement intended to deter such dangerous behavior. The Watson advisement has been used in DUI cases to tell those convicted of a DUI that they can be charged with murder if they drive under the influence and someone dies as a result. Regarding property crimes, the new law allows for the aggregation of stolen property value from multiple thefts. This means that multiple smaller thefts can be combined to determine if the overall value meets the felony threshold. Prop 36 also increases penalties for property crimes resulting in losses exceeding $50,000 and for crimes involving multiple perpetrators. These changes aim to deter large scale property crime and organized criminal activity. Now, the overall effect of these provisions is a more robust and comprehensive approach to prosecuting drug and theft offenses in California. The implications of Prop 36 are far reaching for the public. It emphasizes treatment for drug related offenses, recognizing addiction as a health issue requiring treatment, not just punishment. Simultaneously, it adopts a stricter stance on repeat offenders, utilizing the wobbler provisions and increased penalties as deterrents. The judicial review process built into the wobbler offenses ensures individualized assessments balancing public safety with fair and proportionate treatment for offenders. In conclusion, Prop 36 fundamentally reshapes California's approach to drug and theft crimes, aiming to address societal issues while implementing harsher penalties for repeat offenders. Understanding these changes is crucial for navigating this updated legal landscape. Now, Governor Gavin Newsom, who's a Democrat here in California, he's our governor, is being criticized for not including new funding in his budget for the anti-crime ballot measure that he opposed but was overwhelmingly passed by voters last year's Prop 36. The state's attorney general broke with the governor last week, saying he believes Prop 36, which increases penalties for repeated retail theft and fentanyl dealers, should be funded. It also mandates drug treatment for certain nonviolent drug offenders. The people of the state have spoken loud and clear, said Attorney General Rob Bonta, and he was speaking to KCRA 3 at a fentanyl related news conference in Sacramento. He went on, and so I think getting funding for a full implementation is critical. Bonta added that despite the difficult budget time, he believed the will of the people should be delivered. People want Prop 36. His comments came after Newsom left out funding for the crime initiative in his revised state spending plan. However, Newsom's budget includes extra funds for the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation in anticipation of more people being imprisoned because of Prop 36. Sacramento County Sheriff Jim Cooper said it was time for the legislature and Newsom to step up and fund it. If someone is addicted and needs treatment, we've got to make sure they get treatment. But the funding has to be there, he said. The budget is tight. Budgets are a priority. Priority for the voters, priority for us in law enforcement. Newsom announced in May, which is last month, that California went from having a small surplus in January to being $12 billion in the red, less than 6 months after Prop 36, which he largely blamed on President Donald Trump's tariffs, instability in the stock market, and the Los Angeles wildfires. Newsom said California had to scale back on health care for illegal immigrants to help balance the budget, as well as cut back on other programs, such as one that gave prospective jurors $100 a day instead of $15 for participating in civic service. While Newsom may be using California's budget woes as a cover for not funding Prop 36, he has a history of not listening to the will of the voters. In 2012 and 2016, Californians rejected ballot measures to eliminate the death penalty. 2016, they actually voted to expedite executions, but Newsom, who became governor in 2019, ignored their demands and instituted a moratorium on capital punishment. Proposition 36 was no different. The measure, which passed with 68.4% of the vote and the support of all 58 California counties, was seen as a major win for tough on crime advocates. Despite its passing, Newsom has shown no hurry in implementing it. To call it a mandate is an understatement, said Greg Cotton, the chief executive officer of the California District Attorneys Association, which sponsored the initiative, told the Los Angeles Times. He said, he went on, it isn't a red or blue issue. It's what's compassionate and what's right and what the public expects us to do. Now, Proposition 36 supporters, which include major retail industry players such as Walmart and Home Depot, have argued that tougher consequences are the only way to close existing loopholes that have made it easier for shoplifters and drug pushers to skirt the law. There was an explosion in retail theft across the state, which caused the stores to raise prices, lock up items, and in multiple cases, close shop. Proposition 36 increases penalties for smash and grab crimes when 3 or more people act together to commit theft. It also allows prosecutors to file felony charges if the person caught has 2 or more prior theft convictions. Newsom, along with some of the state's Democratic leaders and human rights groups, has argued that Prop 36 is too expensive, offers false hope, and isn't a real fix. According to the State Legislative Analysis Office, the ballot measure would increase state criminal justice costs, likely ranging from several tens of millions of dollars to the low hundreds of millions of dollars each year. Critics have also said it would disproportionately imprison poor people and those with substance abuse problems rather than target ringleaders who take advantage of disenfranchised groups and hire them to steal goods or sell drugs. We don't need to go back to the broken policies of the last century, said Newsom. Mass incarceration has been proven ineffective and is not the answer, he said. Newsom tried to sink Proposition 36 by offering an alternative ballot measure, but abandoned the effort after failing to get the support of Democratic lawmakers. The California legislature ultimately passed 13 anti-theft bills that Newsom and Democrats hoped would appease voters and get them to vote no on Proposition 36. That did not happen. While voters were on the board with Prop 36, the problem is that it lacks a funding mechanism, which has been left up to state lawmakers and the governor to hammer out. As it currently stands, Proposition 36 won't work without funding, said Graham Naus, Chief Executive Officer of the California State Association of Counties. We believe strongly that if it's not properly funded, it's going to fail, said Naus to the Los Angeles Times. He went on, Proposition 36 requires increased capacity for mental health and substance abuse treatment. And until that's in place, there's not really a way to make the sentencing work. So the bottom line here is you had Prop 36. Governor Newsom said, no, 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 I got a better one. But he didn't get support for his better one. The voters, those people that Governor Newsom's supposed to be serving, did support Prop 36 and it passed. The only problem is there's no money to get it to work. And Newsom says, I'm not paying for it because I didn't want it. So what he's basically saying is, I don't care about my constituents who may have drug addiction problems. You know, we always blame, and look, if you're committing crimes, if you're stealing, you're a thief. Bottom line, if you're breaking the law, you're a criminal. But think about this. Drug addiction is an addiction. It gets its claws in you and it holds on and it starts messing with your brain. Some of these people were putting them in prison and their brains all screwed up from fentanyl or heroin or methamphetamines or, you know, they don't need to be in prison with their brain all messed up. They need to be getting treatment. They need to be getting mental health. But Governor Newsom says, find the money because you ain't getting it from me. That's your governor, California.